beloved child, you are disappointed because I seem silent, but you do not yet understand that this very silence is sending the roots of your faith deeper than anything your eyes can see. You fear I am slow to act, yet you have not seen how quietly I move mountains, clear the road ahead of you, and prepare what you cannot yet imagine. Do not rush to believe I have abandoned you. Sometimes I step back, not to watch you fall, but to teach you how to stand. Long ago, the prophet Elijah ran into the wilderness, weary beyond words, and cried, "Lord, it is enough, take my life." He thought heaven had gone silent. He mistook my delay for rejection, but I did not scold him. I did not condemn his weakness. I simply sent an angel to touch him twice and say, "Get up and eat, for the journey ahead is too great for you." There was no thunder shaking the sky, no dramatic miracle, no blazing sign, only a simple meal. Yet, through that quiet provision, Elijah found the strength to continue. In the same way, there are days when you hear nothing from me, yet you do not know that I am preparing within you a quiet strength, strong enough to carry you across a desert you were certain you could never survive. There are seasons when you do not need applause, excitement, or loud encouragement. You only need one small sign that heaven still remembers your name. But when the waiting grows long, silence can begin to feel suffocating. You start to think I have turned away from you. In truth, I am placing you in an unseen furnace where silence becomes a mirror, revealing the cracks in your soul that noise would have kept hidden. I am not being cruel. I am healing the deepest places in you in a way that noise could never reach. There are times when you look back over your life and see only wrong turns, unfinished dreams, unanswered prayers, and doors that never opened. You think I have come too late, but in those very delays, I am teaching your breathing to follow the rhythm of heaven. You see time slipping through your fingers. I see a soul being refined for a responsibility far greater than anything you can now imagine. And on the days when the pain becomes unbearable, your heart may whisper, "Is God punishing me?" But what you call loss is often my way of pulling you away from paths that would have led you into a deeper abyss. I do not allow pain to humiliate you. I allow it to loosen your grip on the things slowly destroying your soul. My silence, my timing, and even what feels like slowness are all measured with care. I am protecting you from what you are not yet able to see clearly. You still believe that when heaven is silent, I must be far away, leaving you alone with burdens you cannot even name. But in the very moments when you tremble in the quiet, I am bending closest to you. I hear every sigh you try to hide behind a calm face. I hear the words that never become sound. I see every tear you wipe away when no one is watching. And still, because I do not answer immediately, you fear I no longer care. My child, silence is not a closed door. It is the room where I bring you so I can mend the fractures you are afraid to touch. Be still, and you will begin to sense that my silence has never been distance. It has been the way I hold you without overwhelming you. Sometimes I allow the stillness to last longer than you want because I know some things cannot be restored in the middle of noise. You are waiting for a clear sign, but I am teaching you to listen again to the heartbeat within you where I have always remained. I have not moved even half a step away. You think I am late, but you do not see that I am strengthening your faith in the gentlest way possible. I do not want you to trust me only when you receive what you desire. I want you to trust me even when every outward sign seems to say I have forgotten you. One day, you will understand that true faith is not born only when prayers are answered quickly. It is formed when you keep holding my hand even when you hear nothing at all. In that sacred stillness, you grow like a tender shoot, learning to send its roots toward the true source of life. I know there are nights when you look up at the sky and ask, "Lord, are you still watching me?" And I want you to know this. I have never taken my eyes off you, not even for a moment. You see silence as rejection. I see it as a cocoon, sheltering a soul that is about to become stronger. Sometimes I remain quiet so you will stop searching for answers only outside yourself and begin to find me in the rhythm of your daily life, in the small mercies, the quiet moments, and the overlooked pieces of grace you pass by without noticing. I am not punishing you when I am silent. I am healing you at a pace your heart can bear. And one day, when you look back, you will see that I carried you through moments you thought were meaningless. You will realize that even when you felt forgotten, I was holding you together. Still, I see the quiet doubt inside you, the fear that you are no longer worthy of my attention. You think you are too weak, too flawed, too broken for me to draw near. But my child, I do not see you through human eyes. I see you with the gaze of your Creator, the one who knew you before you were formed. I have never accused you with the cruel words you repeat to yourself at night. I have never measured you by success or failure. I look only at the heart that keeps trying, even when it is covered in scars, and I still call it precious. When you allow silence to pull you into self-condemnation, you forget who I truly am. I am your Father, not a cruel judge. I am not waiting for your perfection. I am waiting for your tired heart to come home. So when heaven feels silent, do not pull away and assume I am no longer near. Learn to look beneath the stillness. Learn to trust that I am still moving in places your eyes cannot yet see. Do not run from me when loneliness presses against your soul. That is the very moment I long for you to call my name with complete honesty. Even if all you can say is, "Lord, I am so weak," that is enough. You do not need to be strong to stand before me. You only need to be real. And from that honest place, I will begin leading you out of the fog that has covered your soul. Slowly, you will realize that the feeling of being forgotten is only the shadow of fear, not the truth of my heart toward you. Once you walk through that shadow, you will begin to see your life, your time, your opportunities, and even your delays with different eyes. You often look back over the years and wonder why everything seems so delayed. You wonder why it feels as though you have missed the most important trains. When you see others moving forward while you are still walking slowly, you assume I am favoring them and forgetting you. But my child, I have never measured you by anyone else's pace. Every soul I create has its own rhythm, its own appointed time, and its own path carefully designed to protect the essence I placed within it. When you fix your eyes on comparison, you fail to notice my hand reshaping your road. You hear the clock urging you to hurry, but many times, I am the one pulling you back from steps that would leave your soul wounded and raw. I know there have been mornings when you opened your eyes and already felt behind, out of step, at a disadvantage, unable to catch up with those who seemed to move ahead of you. You looked at your age, the opportunities that slipped away, the doors that did not open, and quietly sighed, "Now it's too late." But I want you to understand this. I do not work according to the timeline you see. I am not in a hurry when you are anxious. I do not panic when you are afraid. I work in the deepest places of the soul, where time is no longer a chain and delay is not defeat. You think the long years behind you were empty, but they were quietly shaping perseverance, humility, and faith, things that early success often cannot produce. When you believe you are only wandering in circles, you may actually be walking the very path I marked out for you long ago. There are times when you come to pray with a heavy heart because you feel your life is moving too slowly. You blame yourself more than you blame me. You wonder if I am still writing anything for your future, or if the pages of your story have already come to an end. But I want you to know that I have never canceled the destiny I began in you. No closed door has the authority to destroy what I have ordained. You can see only the present moment, but I see the whole road from beginning to end. What you call slow is often the perfect pace to keep you from receiving things you are not yet ready to carry. My child, the fact that you have not reached the finish line does not mean you have failed. Sometimes it simply means you are still within the precise process of my timing. I also see the habit that quietly wears down your spirit. You keep comparing your journey to the journey of others. You see them going far while you feel as though you are moving only inch by inch. Then you conclude that you are inferior, forgotten, or left behind. But every comparison blinds you to what I am quietly restoring in you. When your eyes are fixed on someone else's achievements, you no longer see the seeds I am planting in your own life each day. The fact that those seeds have not yet blossomed does not mean they are dead. They are simply waiting for the right climate, the right light, and the right moment I have appointed. If you force them to bloom in someone else's season, you may break the tender petals of your own life before they have a chance to tell the story I long to write through you. So when your heart grows anxious because time keeps passing, slow your breathing and look at me instead of staring at the haste of this world. You are not late. You are being held a little longer so that when the door opens, you will step through it with a soul strong enough, deep enough, and mature enough to carry what I place in your hands. I do not want you to receive blessings too early, before you have roots. Rootless blessings can make you fall faster than you realize. Let me lead you according to the rhythm of heaven, a rhythm that is never off by even a second. Then one day, you will understand that what you once called too late was actually a delicate preparation for things you never thought you were worthy to receive. And when you move beyond your obsession measures, you will begin to see every stumble, every delay, and every closed door with new eyes. You will no longer rush to believe I am withholding something good from you. Instead, you will understand that I am holding you back from what does not belong to you. From that awareness, your heart will become lighter. You will recognize that I am making a way for you in places your eyes have not yet reached. For when you learn to trust me in delays, you will also learn to trust me in losses, redirections, and the things you once called pain. And that will become the door leading you into a greater truth. Pain is not always punishment. Many times, it is the shield I quietly place before you. There are days when you stare at the broken pieces in front of you and whisper, "God must be punishing me." Disappointment seems to come too easily, while joy seems to arrive too late. You watch opportunities fade, and relationships that once looked beautiful begin to crack. Then, in the silence of your heart, you conclude, maybe God does not love me anymore. But my child, I have never used pain to take revenge on you or push you deeper into despair. I use it as a mirror so you can finally see what has been weighing down your soul, the fears you have avoided, the wounds you have buried, and the truths you have been too afraid to face. If you are willing to draw near to me, you will discover that what you call unfairness is sometimes the very protection I prepared for you in secret. When a door closes, I see you lower your head and blame yourself. Then you blame life. Then you blame me. But you do not know that sometimes I am the one placing my hand on that door and shutting it before it has the chance to crush you. There are people you thought were right for you, but I could already see the pain they would bring into your life. There are places you desperately wanted to enter, but I knew you would lose yourself if I allowed you to go there. So I had to stop you, even when you cried because you did not understand. You only saw that you had lost something you wanted. I saw that I was saving you from a wound you could not have healed on your own. One day, when your heart becomes quiet enough to understand, you will thank me. You will realize that what I withhold is never less than what I am preparing for you. At times, I use delays to protect you from dangers the human eye cannot foresee. You may remember moments when you were angry because you were stuck on the road, missed an appointment, or lost an opportunity you thought was important. You felt sad, frustrated, and careless. You blamed yourself for being late, but you did not realize that sometimes being held back was exactly what kept you away from a crisis I never wanted you to face. I do not need to perform a visible miracle to protect you. Sometimes, a small delay is enough to change the course of your life. If you could look at your story from a wider angle, you would see that behind every late arrival, every change of plan, and every lost opportunity, there was often a careful arrangement I was quietly putting in place. I do not announce every rescue. I simply act, then watch you continue safely on your way. But I also know the habit that rises quickly within you. You tend to give me the face of those who wounded you. When someone disappoints you, you fear I will do the same. When someone walks away, you fear I will leave too. And when pain enters your life, you quickly assume I am punishing you. My child, I am not them. I did not come to strike you down. I came to lift you out of consequences you do not fully understand. If I wanted to punish you, I would have left you sinking deeper into the wrong paths. But I keep pulling you back, even when you resist, because I see what you cannot yet see. I love you not because you have earned it, but because you belong to me. And because you belong to me, I will not allow pain to drive you completely off course. So when your heart is bleeding, I do not demand that you be strong. I only want you to come near and tell me the truth, whether it is fear, anger, confusion, or disappointment. I am not offended by those emotions. What saddens me is when you hide them and try to carry everything alone. Let me step into the dark places within you, the places you let no one touch because you believe they are too ugly. There, I will show you that pain is not the end. It is the soil being turned over so I can plant something new. When you allow me to walk with you, you will understand that pain has never been a period. It is only a comma, opening the way toward renewal. From that awareness, you will slowly be freed from the belief that I am punishing you. You will begin to see that I am leading you toward a goodness you have not yet dared to believe you could receive. Then, when you release your doubts about my love, you will begin to see the events of your life differently. Losses will no longer look only like losses. You will see them as the changing of soil for new seeds of life. Detours will no longer feel like wasted paths. You will recognize them as precise adjustments, steering you away from cliffs you could not see ahead. And you will realize that I was never as far away as you thought. I have been beside you at every step, in every sigh, and in every moment you found the strength to stand again. Once you understand the meaning of pain, you will gently realize that not only have you misunderstood pain, you have also misjudged yourself. And that realization will become the bridge leading you into the next truth. You are not a flawed product of your past. You are being reshaped in the hands of a deeply patient potter. There are days when you look back at yourself and see only old scratches that have not yet healed. You remember wrong decisions, trust given to the wrong people, and falls that still fill you with shame. Then you tell yourself, I deserve this, as if every mistake has turned you into someone who no longer has value before me. But my child, I have never looked at you through the eyes you use on yourself. You see a past scattered with broken pieces. I see a soul waiting to be made whole. I am not standing over you to accuse you. I am standing near you to pull you away from the harsh voice you keep repeating in your mind. If you would be still for a moment, you would hear that my words are far gentler than the judgment you place upon yourself. When you blame yourself for what is past, I see you like someone standing before an old, distorted mirror. You think the image is the truth, but you do not realize it is the mirror that needs to be replaced, not your heart. The more you repeat, I deserve this, the more distance you create between yourself and the restoration I have prepared for you. You think I keep your failures in constant remembrance, but I have already placed them far away. You are the only one still holding on to them. You call yourself by names I have never used. Foolish, weak, worthless, deserving of what has happened to you. But those words do not come from me. They come from the fear of being hurt again. You have been using your past like a lock to keep yourself chained, while I have been longing to remove it and lead you into a future shaped by my hands. You only need to loosen your grip a little, and I will show you the new mirror I am holding before you, a mirror where you are seen through the eyes of a father, not a judge. Remember this, you are the clay, and I am the potter. No one looks at clay and calls it useless. They look at the hands that are shaping it. You are not yet your final form. You are still in the middle of the process. And the process often includes being pressed, adjusted, stretched, and even broken, so you can be remade into something stronger and more beautiful. You thought the shaking in your life was punishment, but it was actually the way I was carefully reshaping the parts of you that had drifted away from my original design. You are not abandoned in the furnace. You are placed there so you can become firm, steady, and strong. A vessel cannot shape itself. It must allow the potter to touch it, turn it, adjust it, and sometimes press into places that hurt so it can become what it was always meant to be. If you let me work, you will come to understand that you are not broken beyond repair. You are being renewed, little by little. I know you are tired of pretending you are fine. I know you are weary from trying to use achievements to cover the insecurity buried deep within you. You keep chasing the expectations of others, hoping that one day their approval will make your pain disappear. But my child, human approval cannot be your place of healing. It will only leave you more exhausted. I do not wait for you to become strong before I come near. I wait for you to admit that you are weak so I can be strong in your place. You do not have to keep playing the role of the resilient one. I love you in your truest state, tired, fragile, uncertain, and sometimes not even knowing where to begin. Lay down the burden of proving that you are good enough. If you keep holding on to the right to condemn yourself, you close the very door that leads to restoration, and that door is my hand. So come near to me with everything you consider ugly about yourself. The mistakes in your past, the cracks in your heart, your anger, your shame, and your fear of being judged. None of these things are unfamiliar to me. I saw them long ago, and still I chose to love you through every stumble. Do not hide yourself any longer behind words of self-condemnation. Let me cleanse the way you see yourself, so you may understand that you are not the final product of your mistakes. You are a page I am still writing on, not a discarded fragment. And as you begin to recognize your true worth in my hands, Your heart will grow lighter and your steps will become steadier. Then you will understand why I do not want you to merely survive with a reluctant heart. I want you to rise not only to find peace, but to become living proof that restoration is real and still unfolding in you day by day. At some point, when your soul is no longer bound by the voices of the past, you will feel yourself called to something greater than mere existence. You will begin to see that life is not just a series of attempts to get through another day. It is a journey of being sent to reach others. You will understand that what once caused you pain has become a key one that can open a door for someone else who feels lost. And then you will know naturally that I do not restore you only so you can feel better. I restore you so you can become light. Through you, others will be able to see me. From that awareness, you will be ready to step into what comes next, living not just to survive, but to carry blessing wherever I place you. There are times when, after too many blows, you have only enough strength to say one thing to me: just let me have some peace. That is all. I understand that. I see how tired you are. I know there are moments when you no longer dare to dream of anything more. But my child, if you live only to avoid pain and simply get through each day, you are living far beneath what I have placed inside you. I did not save you so you could hide in a safe corner, lock your heart away, and fear every risk. I set you free so you could step forward, turning the very scars that once made you ashamed into a story of restoration for others. If you ask only for peace for yourself, and forget that I long to use your life to touch other souls, the blessing within you will slowly run dry because it has nowhere to flow. I know that many times you have counted yourself among the ordinary. You have only dared to believe that getting by is enough. You look at those who are being used and think, I am not that kind of person. So you retreat into your small, safe place. But my child, I do not choose people by human standards. I do not look for the perfect. I look for those who have been broken, those who have thirsted, those who know what the depths feel like, so that when I lift them up, they understand the true value of grace. You say you have nothing to give, but I see in you a treasure formed precisely through the seasons you thought were wasted. All I need is for you to dare to place into my hands the little you think you have. I will break it, bless it, and distribute it to more people than you can imagine. The battles you are facing are not only about money, emotions, or relationships as you think. Behind them is a spiritual clash. There is a calling on your life that hell is terrified you will discover. You think you are only trying to survive the day. But in truth, both I and the enemy of your soul know that you were created for far more than survival. Every time you want to give up, there is a whisper telling you that your life is meaningless. That voice is not mine. It is the voice that wants you to forget you have been sent. It wants you to accept living like a faint shadow in this world. But I did not create you to be a silent extra in the background. I created you so that my light within you, however small it may seem, would be enough to shine for someone who has lost their way. When I lift you up, even a little, I do not do it so you can proudly say you have made it. I place you in new positions, new relationships, and new opportunities so that through them, people may see my fingerprints on your life. I do not want you to show off what you have achieved. I want you to speak of the one who carried you through the days when it seemed there was no hope left. The scars in your heart and the traces of your tears are not things you must hide. They are evidence that you walked through the fire without being consumed because I was with you. When you dare to tell others how weak you once were, I will use that very weakness to comfort those who are standing exactly where you once stood. You do not need a perfect sermon. You only need a genuine life, and I will use that as a living testimony. Therefore, my child, do not ask me only for blessings that make you comfortable, only to clutch them tightly as if you are afraid they might be taken away. Blessings truly grow only when they flow through your life into the lives of others. If you cling to them, they will turn into fear of loss instead of becoming the joy of giving. I want you to step out of the mindset of merely surviving and begin to ask me, Lord, where do you want to use me today? That question will change the way you see each day. You will no longer treat time as something to count down, but as a sacred opportunity to do small things with eternal value together with me. And when you live that way, you will begin to see that every pain, every delay, and every furnace you once blamed me for was never wasted. I have gathered all of it and woven it into a story only you can carry. Every time you share it, those who listen will recognize that this was not luck. This was the hand of God upon a life that dared to be used by him. The world keeps pressuring you to wear a calm face, to appear strong, successful, and in control of everything, as if showing even a little weakness means you will be despised or left behind. But I do not look at you that way. I know you on the days when you shine, and I know you on the nights when you sit in silence, staring blankly at an empty wall. I know you on the mornings when you do not want to leave your bed because your heart feels too heavy to carry. When others only want to hear your stories of victory. I listen even to the sighs you think no one would ever want to hear. When people grow tired of hearing the same sadness from you again and again, I still sit quietly beside you, looking at you with eyes that never grow weary. At times you think of yourself as someone who arrived too late, someone who missed out, someone who burned through your youth on relationships, goals, and illusions that now feel empty in hindsight. You feel as if your life has been ruined, as if you wasted the time I gave you. But when I look at you, I do not see only your mistakes and failures. I see a heart that, though bruised, still beats. I see a soul that once wanted to let go, yet is still here today, still breathing, still existing, still carrying a small measure of courage, still daring to speak with me. The fact that you can still stand after all the times you have fallen is a beauty greater than any title, status, or accomplishment the world could praise. Trophies, certificates, and compliments will all gather dust, but a person who dares to rise after pain, who dares to return after wandering, is a spiritual victory in my eyes far greater than a flawless life that has never made a mistake. You are still here. You still call me Lord. You still dare to call yourself my child, even though you have often felt ashamed of your own wounds, and that pleases me far more than you realize. I do not want you to use everything you have not yet done as evidence to condemn yourself day after day, like a harsh judge, constantly demanding that you become the most perfect version of yourself. You do not need to stand before me as if you are standing in a courtroom, defending yourself and proving that you deserve another chance. I already know everything. I am not holding a comparison chart in my hand, measuring how many years you are late, how many steps behind you are, or how many opportunities you have lost. You are not a copy of anyone else. And the journey I am writing for you does not duplicate anyone else's path. Every child I create has a unique rhythm. If you keep forcing yourself to run at someone else's pace, you will collapse before you ever reach what I truly intend for you. I understand why you compare yourself to others. You are afraid of being forgotten. You are afraid that if you are not as good as they are, you will be left behind. But in my kingdom, no child is surplus. No one is left over. No one is too late and therefore has no share. Those thoughts do not come from me. They come from the fear in your heart and from the voice of the world, which keeps demanding that you prove your worth through results, speed, and position. I do not see you that way. I see you with the eyes of a father who has watched every step you have taken from childhood until now. I have seen every season when you smiled and every season when you wept. I have seen every moment you tried so hard that even you did not notice how much you had already given. Every promise I have placed over your life has its appointed time. Just like the seasons of the trees, some seeds sprout quickly. Some rise slowly. Some break through the soil after only a few days. But there are also seeds that must remain hidden for a long time in the dark earth before they rise into a strong and sturdy tree. You often want only what is instant miracles that happen quickly. Doors that open immediately, answers that come before you have to wait, wonder, or ask, why have I not received this yet? But I do not work according to your impatience. I work according to my wisdom. I see the whole picture while you can see only one small corner. There are things I have deliberately not placed into your hands yet, not because I enjoy watching you live in lack or longing, but because I know that if I gave them to you before your heart was deep enough, before your foundation was firm enough, before your faith was rooted enough, even a good thing could become a weight that breaks you. I do not want blessings to become chains. I do not want grace to become the very thing that pulls you away from me or away from your true self. I would rather slow things down for a little while so I can dig your foundation deeper. I would rather teach you to trust me in silence and train you to stand firm when nothing is clear than give you something you desperately desire, only for it to ruin your soul in the end. You often think that in these past years, you have gained nothing. You believe you missed your youth, wasted time in foolish choices, poured yourself into misdirected relationships, endured jobs that led nowhere, and lived through long, repetitive days where you saw no progress. When you look back, you see only a chain of wasted moments. But I see those years as a hidden workshop of refinement that few people noticed. I used those seemingly meaningless days to soften the places where you were stubborn, to make you more sensitive to the pain of others, and to break the secret pride you would not have recognized if you had succeeded too quickly. I used the wounds in your relationships to teach you the difference between true love and exploitation, so that next time you can recognize the value of those who truly know how to cherish you. I used the nameless tasks, the years of quiet labor, and the efforts no one acknowledged to teach you perseverance, endurance, and the beauty of doing things for me rather than merely for the praise of people. There is no season in your life that is useless. There are only seasons whose meaning you have not yet fully understood. And I do not mock you for not understanding. I wait for the moment when you are calm enough for me to explain each part again, right along the very footprints you once thought were only signs of wandering. Today, even if you feel as though you still amount to nothing, I want you to pause and look deeply at this one truth. You are still here. You are still alive. You are still able to feel. You are still able to believe, even if your faith trembles. You do not know how many times you wanted to give up, yet could never fully let go, because somewhere within you there is still a small, fragile strand connecting you to me. And that fragile strand delights me. It tells me your heart has not completely closed itself off from me. It tells me that deep down, you still long for something more than a life of simply getting by. Do not despise the fact that you are still sitting here, still staying, still reading, still listening, still speaking with me. That alone is the sign of a soul that refuses to let darkness swallow it whole. I do not expect you to become a hero overnight. I only ask that you give me the chance, day by day, to soften one more hidden place in your heart. And I want you to know this. You are not the only one who has ever believed it was too late. You are not the only one who has wondered whether hope had finally run out. Many whom I dearly love have walked through long years that felt like a desert. They thought I was silent, when in reality, I was writing the deepest chapters of their story. You often ask yourself, when will it be my turn? When will I finally see what you promised? I do not condemn that question. I understand it comes from all the times you have stood on the sidelines, watching others receive the very blessings you also hoped for. But I want you to know that in the spiritual realm, no one can take your turn. What I have set apart for you cannot be stolen by someone else. And what I have ordained for others cannot be seized by you. Each person has a portion that belongs uniquely to them, and each portion has its own appointed time to be revealed. The fact that others seem to cross the finish line before you does not mean I have abandoned you at the starting line. Sometimes I intentionally keep you longer at the beginning because there are things you must learn that others do not need to learn. You will need those lessons in places where they may never be called to go. So instead of asking, when will it be my turn? I long for you to begin asking, Lord, what are you teaching me in this season? When your question changes, your impatience will begin to quiet. You will start to see that I am not motionless, as you once imagined. I am working. I am preparing you, and I am arranging the circumstances around you so that when I bring you into the place I have intended, everything will already be in position. You are not forgotten in some far corner of heaven. I have not placed you at the end of the line and then forgotten to call your name. I remember you. I remember every tiny detail of your life, the things others would never bother to notice. There are dreams you think you buried, but I still hold them in my hands. I am quietly breathing life into them, waiting for the day when you are brave enough to receive them again without fearing failure. There are prayers you once spoke to me through tears many years ago. Then, worn down by waiting, you stopped mentioning them. But I never forgot. I kept them like seeds stored away, waiting for the right season to sow them back into your life. And now, even though you cannot yet see it clearly, things are stirring in the unseen realm. I am awakening places in you that you thought had gone cold. I am reviving healthy desires you once buried because you were afraid to hope and be disappointed again. My presence is touching the dry places within you. That is why you may suddenly realize you no longer want to live just to get through another day. You no longer want to accept a life of mere endurance. That longing is not random. It is the sign that my spirit is at work not to throw you into panic, but to remind you that I am still continuing my work in your life. You may not know how to name this change yet. You may only feel a slight restlessness inside when you continue living exactly as before. You may feel a quiet discomfort when you keep compromising with what you already know is not right. You may sense a faint longing for something deeper, something you cannot quite put into words. Do not be quick to silence these feelings. They are not meaningless instability. They are my gentle knocking at your door. I am inviting you to step out of a way of living that only seeks safety, only wants to be left alone, and only asks me, please, do not let me hurt anymore. I am calling you into a way of living that dares to ask, Lord, how can I belong to you more? How can I let you use my life to touch someone else? I am not demanding that you change the whole world at once. I only want you to begin with the small things I place before you. A sincere word of concern, a compassionate look, an act of forgiveness you once thought you could never offer. Every small step you take with me carries eternal value. And it is through those small steps that your calling begins to reveal itself. I have not kept you alive until today merely so you could exist, fulfill a few responsibilities, and then disappear as if you had never been here. I have preserved your life because there is something in your story I want to use to awaken other hearts. The scars on your soul are not only reminders of pain. They will become evidence that I can uphold a person who seemed to have no chance left. You do not know how many people need to hear that from your own mouth. You do not know how many people need to see it through your own life. That is why I am awakening you. I am enlarging your heart. I am softening the places that once became hardened. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not someone I passed over so I could attend to souls that seemed more important. You are being prepared for something both gentle and great, to become living proof that I still work, still heal, and still make all things new, even in a life the world had written off as having nothing more to say. So do not be quick to belittle yourself. Do not confine yourself to the role of someone who only needs a little peace. I am calling you out of that. I am calling you to become a bearer of peace, a carrier of hope, and a bringer of my light wherever your feet may go. And as you step into this, you will realize that every delay, every silence, and every year that seemed wasted was actually part of the path where I led you the long way around, so that today you could stand in my plan without the fear that once controlled you. Have you ever noticed that even in the middle of days that feel pitch black and hopeless, something quiet still stirs inside your heart? It feels like a gentle breath threading its way into your chest, like a fragile beam of light your eyes cannot see, but your soul somehow recognizes. Sometimes you do not know what to call it. You suddenly feel like crying for no clear reason. You sense, deep within, a strange expectancy as if something greater, purer, and truer is slowly drawing near. You may think it is only a passing emotion, but I want you to know it is the sign that I am rekindling new life within you. Not the rushed beginning the world offers, but a quiet and enduring beginning. I am not merely adjusting a few external details. I am changing the way you see yourself, the way you see me, and the way you see the world. You often shrink back because you think you are too ordinary, too small, too full of mistakes, too late for anything that could ever be called being used by God. But you forget that I have never written any plan according to the standards of the crowd. I do not look at your age to decide whether you are still on time or already too late. I do not use your failures to stamp the word ruined over your life. I am the one who has always chosen the overlooked. I keep calling the names of those no one seems to count. I raise up souls that once condemned themselves. I am a father, unlike any face you have ever known. I can take a life labeled as failure and turn it into living proof of how deeply I love and how far my power can reach. The weaker you are, the more clearly you can become like glass through which my light can pass, so others may see me. Then they will no longer be able to say, this was their strength. They will only be able to recognize, surely someone greater must have intervened. But my child, for you to become that kind of witness, I have had to guard you far more times than you realize. If one day you sat quietly and honestly asked me, Lord, how many times have you protected me without my knowing it? You would likely fall silent in astonishment. Do you remember the time you were upset because of a traffic jam? Or because one small incident completely disrupted the schedule you had so carefully planned? You called it an unlucky day. Yet if I were to pull back the curtain and show you what was ahead, you would see that the place where you thought you missed your chance was exactly where danger had just passed. If you had arrived on time the way you wanted, you might not be sitting here now, speaking with me. Do you remember the phone call you waited for? The promise that seemed as solid as stone until it suddenly vanished into silence without explanation? You lost sleep over it. You decided you were not good enough. You thought that was why they changed, why they disappeared, why they abandoned you. But when I allowed that call not to come, I was shielding your future from a relationship that would have slowly eroded your dignity and your peace. I know which sweet words would become chains. I see, in advance, which smiles would become blades. I can measure the depth of wounds you could never foresee. That is why there are messages I do not allow to be sent, promises I allow to break, and golden opportunities I let slip from your hands, even as I hear your sighs. Even as I see you blaming yourself, blaming others, and even blaming me. I take no pleasure in watching you cry over such things. But I will allow a little pain now if it means sparing you from a wound 1,000 times deeper later. You look at one door as if it were everything, but I see the entire corridor behind it. Some invitations seem desirable. Some relationships appear complete. Some projects look as if they will bring you status, recognition, and a name. Yet hidden inside them is the price your soul would have to pay. Sleepless nights, a distorted character, and the gradual loss of the simplicity in you that I love. I cannot allow you to trade your soul for something flashy and short-lived. That is why, at times, I choose the way you least expect. I shut the door. I sever the connection you wanted to keep. I let everything fall into a strange and heavy silence. To you, it looks like loss. To me, it is redemption. You ask why I do not explain everything immediately. It is because if I showed you every hidden danger at once, you might trust me out of fear instead of love. I want you to learn to trust me even when you do not have all the details, so your faith will not be a bargain, but a true surrender. Everything I do, whether I make a way or block a path, add something or take something away, flows from the same source. My unchanging and inexhaustible love for you. This love is not the kind that spoils you by giving you whatever you demand, nor is it cold love that throws you into tests merely to measure your loyalty. It is like a father keeping a knife out of the hands of his little child, even when the child cries for it, because he knows those small hands would wound themselves. It is like a doctor pressing on a wound to remove what does not belong there, causing greater pain for a moment so infection will not spread later. There are times I allow you to pass through things that bring you to tears, not because I enjoy seeing you collapse, but because I know such experiences can awaken a depth in you that comfort alone could never create. They can give you compassion for the pain of others, a compassion you did not have before. I do not waste your tears. Each one is received by me, remembered by me, and used by me to soften your heart so you do not become numb in a world already full of hurt. When you begin to recognize this, you will stop seeing every disruption in your day as bad luck. You will become slower to conclude that I am against you whenever your plans fall apart. Instead, you will learn to ask a different kind of question. Lord, what are you protecting me from in this? What are you teaching me? What are you preparing me for? That is not the question of a defeated victim. It is the question of someone beginning to step into spiritual maturity, someone who no longer sees life as random circumstances, but as a path being guided step by step. When your mind shifts from accusation to seeking meaning, you will sense a deeper peace even before anything on the outside changes. You will no longer need to hold everything in your own hands, because you will know that I am holding what you cannot see. Then you will understand more deeply a truth you once only heard with your ears. Nothing reaches you without first passing through my hands, and my hands never act apart from love for you. But do not think these quiet protections are only meant to help you get through life peacefully and nothing more. I do not guard you from danger just so you can turn around and live as if I were never there. I preserve you because you are part of a larger plan I am unfolding on the earth. Every time I pull you back from a pit, I am not thinking only of you. I am also thinking of the people you will one day meet, the ones standing at the very edge where you once stood. I want you, when you look at them, to see more than their problems. I want you to recognize your own reflection from years past, so you can offer them not just advice, but testimony. I have been there, and this is how the Lord brought me out. That is why I do not erase every trace of the battles you have fought. I draw out the poison, but I leave the wisdom so you can become a support for others. The blessing I pour into you is not meant to become a stagnant pond. It is meant to become a living stream, flowing through you to water dry and thirsty places. When you realize that you have been saved, preserved, and protected, not merely so you can be safe, but so you can be sent, you will begin to live with a different posture. You will ask less often, "When will I receive more?" And more often, "Today, what can I give to someone from what I have already received?" You will fear loss less, because you will recognize that the one who has kept you from countless dangers and broken traps you never even saw is surely able to provide everything you truly need as you live for his purpose. You will no longer live like someone who only hopes to escape disaster. You will live like a person who knows they belong to the army of a good king, a king who does not send you into battle alone, but also does not leave you hiding forever in a shelter of fear. I want you to step out with the awareness that every step, every word, and every choice you make can become a channel through which I touch someone else. And once you begin to live that way, the traffic jams, the unanswered messages, the calls that never came, and the plans that remained unfinished will no longer feel like unhealed wounds. They will become reminders that my love always goes ahead of you, even when you cannot see it. My child, everything I have done, everything I am doing, and everything I will do in your life, the moments that made you rejoice and the moments that made you weep in confusion, are all being woven into one story. The story of a God who does not abandon, does not make mistakes, does not arrive late, and never does anything apart from what is good for those who belong to him. If today, deep within your heart, you still feel even the faintest warmth, the gentlest desire that says, "I wish my life could be used for something more than simply existing," then I want you to know this: I am the one who placed that desire within you. I am calling you out of a life of mere survival and into the life of someone who is sent not in your own strength but in mine. I am the one who has kept you from things you never saw, so you could stand here today, alive, breathing, and ready to answer, "Lord, here I am. Please use me." You keep running to me with a long list of questions, all the whys, the whens, and the how longs, as if the value of our relationship were measured only by how quickly and clearly I answer you, or whether my answer matches your expectations. But my child, if I merely responded to every question and then turned away, I would be no different from a cold machine carrying out requests. You are far more precious to me than that. I will not simply throw a few solutions into your life to fix temporary confusion. I have come to dwell with you. I have come to become the deepest answer to the empty places that no explanation could ever fill. There are moments when you lie awake in the dark, eyes open, heart heavy, lips unable to form even a single prayer. You think you are silent, but I hear every cry rising wordlessly from your chest. I sit there with you, not loud, not showy, simply present, gently touching the places in your soul that you believed had turned to stone. I enter the locked rooms you sealed away years ago, the places you were afraid to touch because you thought everything might shatter if you opened them again. It is in that quiet presence that I am working far more deeply than you imagine. You think you must shout until the sky changes color before I am moved. But even one weary sigh breathed in my direction makes heaven tremble, because my love for you has never grown cold, even when you have let go, doubted, and accused me. I see the tears you quickly wipe away with your sleeve. I do not tell you to stop crying just to get it over with. I do not say, "Be strong," the way people often do. I simply whisper, "You may cry in my arms, but do not let your tears lead you to the wrong conclusion about me. For while you think you are collapsing all alone, I am holding your heart. I am gathering every broken piece you are sure no one cares about. Every word you say to me, however clumsy, repetitive, or weary, is never thrown into the void. I keep it. I weave it into the plan I am quietly unfolding over your life. Not for a single second do I turn my face away from what you are carrying. You still imagine that prayer as you knocking on a door while I stand inside, deciding whether or not to open it. But in truth, every time you merely think of me, I am already at your side, my hand on the latch, waiting for your permission to step in. I have never been a distant deity who listens only when you present your requests in the right format. I am Father, and I long for conversation with you far more than I long simply to resolve your crises. I know you keep count of which prayers have been answered and which have not. Then you use that scale to measure my heart, forgetting that the most precious thing I can give you is not a string of results lined up with the plan you wrote. The most precious thing I can give you is myself, the unchanging one who remains with you in every season, whether in gentle rain or violent storm, whether you are full of strength or unable to take another step. I am your portion, and no one can steal me from you, even if you lose everything you once thought was essential. You are used to coming to me like someone approaching a service counter, submitting a request and impatiently waiting for a receipt. But I want you to learn to come like a child entering their father's house, to sit down, open your heart, speak, listen, be still, and remain longer than a few hurried minutes. Only in that lingering place can I water the dry places within you with my word, with living truth, not to fill your mind with information, but to give your soul something solid to cling to, rest on, and be restored by. You have grown accustomed to living by emotions that rise and fall like waves. Today you believe because you see something, tomorrow you sink because you see nothing. So I am gently drawing your eyes away from the foam of changing circumstances and toward the deep, quiet current of my word. There, the source of life continues to flow, untouched by the changing weather of your life. When you are willing to spend time with me, to read, to ponder, to converse with every word I speak, and to place your honest questions before me, you will find yourself like someone who has discovered an underground spring, quiet, enduring, unseen, yet nourishing an entire field. I do not promise that you will be spared from every fierce wind, but I want you to know this: if you choose to root yourself deeply in what I say, in who I am, and in my heart for you, then when storms come, you may sway, but you will not be uprooted. You may ache, but you will not break. You may grow weary, but you will not be swept away. What holds you is not your own strength. It is the unseen yet unbreakable cord that binds you to me. You have often run from one person to another, searching for fleeting encouragement words that sound sweet for a moment, but soon fade away. I do not condemn you for that. I know you need people, but I do not want you to stop at such fragile supports. I long to become the foundation upon which every relationship, every dream, and every plan of yours is built. Then, when one brick falls, the whole house will not collapse, because the foundation is me, not anything else. When you live with the mindset of simply getting through one more day, you begin to gather only for yourself, hoping the waves will not strike too hard against your own life. But in doing so, the blessing within you grows stagnant, like a pond with no outlet, its waters slowly turning murky. But when you begin to dwell with me, to understand me, and to drink from my source, you will see that you are called to become a small channel carrying living water from within you into dry and thirsty places. Then blessing will no longer be something you clutch in fear of losing. It will become a current that grows clearer the more it flows, and richer the more it gives. I see within you capacities you have not yet dared to believe in, the experiences you have walked through, the pain you have carried, and the wounds you thought were only losses. All of these, when immersed in my presence and my word, become precious material I can use. They enable you to embrace someone else who is weeping in the very place where you once fell. You will not comfort them with empty phrases, because you know how real that pain feels. And in the moment you reach out your hand to them, I will be there, speaking through your words, shining through your eyes, and using the scars I have healed in you to whisper to them, I am near to you too. You may think you are not mature enough or wise enough to support anyone, but never forget, I am the one who does the work. You are only the vessel. You are the lamp. Your task is not to create your own light, but to keep the oil, guard the flame, and remain connected to the source. Each time you return to me, each time you allow me to touch the parts you wish to hide, each time you let my words soak into your worn-out thoughts and distorted ideas about me and about yourself, you give me room to reshape your understanding of worth, success, survival, and fullness of life. I did not place you on this earth merely to avoid pain and quietly disappear. I placed you here so that, amid unpredictable storms and scattered sunlight, you would stand as a small but clear sign that I am real, that I still act, still save, still transform, and still walk beside my own. I want you to know that every moment I spend with you, speaking, comforting, correcting, and restoring, is never wasted grace. From those quiet encounters, you will rise with new eyes, new steps, and a renewed heart. Those around you will begin to sense something they may not know how to name, yet it will be unmistakably real. It will be my fragrance upon you, Not outward brilliance, not performance, but deep peace, strange patience, gentleness in the middle of tension, steadiness in the middle of uncertainty. All the fruit I grow in you is not for you to admire yourself. It is so you can become shade for someone weary and thirsty. My child, I am inviting you to step out of the kind of life that keeps asking, Lord, when will I finally be at peace? And begin whispering instead, Lord, I want to know you more. I want to understand what you are doing in me so I can become a blessing to someone else. When your question changes, the center of your life begins to change. You will no longer see me as a machine that exists to meet your needs, but as a father who patiently trains you, both tender and firm, both comforting and instructing. And from that place of intimacy, day by day, quietly, I will transform you from someone who once only knew how to survive into someone who knows how to bring life not by your own strength, but by the life I have placed within you, flowing through you, and reaching places you never imagined. Now I invite you to pause and lay down the noise around you for a moment. Whether you are sitting in a small crowded room on a packed bus or in a corner cafe where no one knows your name, I still call you to one simple act. Close your eyes, not to escape reality, but to give me a small open space in the middle of the chaos inside your thoughts. You do not need to strain to feel anything. You do not need to imagine something lofty. Just breathe slowly. Release your grip. Let your soul grow quiet. In that very moment, I am already there, not in some distant heaven, but right beside you, like the quiet embrace of a father covering his exhausted child who has no words left to speak. What you thought was an empty void within you is the very place I have chosen to enter, if only you will open it to me. As your heart settles, you will begin to sense a gentle warmth seeping into places you thought had long grown cold. It will not be loud or dazzling like fireworks. It will be like a soft stream flowing through the desert of your soul. I do not come to make you tremble in fear. I come to lift the heavy stones you have grown used to carrying. My love is not a theory for you to memorize. It is a living presence surrounding you, touching places no one else has reached, not even you. There are depths of loneliness you have never dared to speak of, yet I have chosen to dwell right there. And as I do, you will gradually sense something shifting inside. Not that all darkness disappears at once, but that one beam of light appears, enough to show you that you are no longer sitting alone in the night. You will not leave this moment the same as when you entered it. I do not promise that every problem will vanish after a few minutes with your eyes closed, but I do promise to touch the places you have avoided for years. Sometimes, a single moment of letting me come close can loosen chains that have bound your heart for far too long. The rigid voice within you, the one that whispers, "Nothing ever changes," will begin to crack. And into those small cracks I will plant a tender seed called hope. Fragile as it may seem, it carries enough power to push back the thoughts that try to drag you into old numbness. You may not see it clearly yet, but deep within you, a quiet turning has begun. Your soul is turning back toward me. Even if you do not yet have words for it, you think your faith left you long ago, but truly, it has only curled up to rest after storms that were too strong. Today, as you sit still before me, that flame is being rekindled, not by grand displays, but by a soft whisper within. I am still here. I have not stopped working. That voice does not shout or demand. It moves like a thin breeze stirring the heavy curtain around your heart. You may not understand how, but among the usual flood of weary thoughts, a small question begins to flicker. What if there is still hope for me? In that very question, faith lights its first sparks again. It does not deny the wounds you have suffered. It simply tells you gently that those wounds are not the final chapter. Perhaps these days you have felt a strange restlessness you cannot explain. Outwardly, everything seems the same job, the same room, the same faces. Yet inside, you feel as though something is about to happen, as if you are standing on the threshold of something new you cannot name. You may think it is only anxiety or oversensitivity, but I want you to know that often, this restlessness is the bell of my spirit ringing within you. I am stirring you from the sleep of merely getting by. I am telling you, no, your story with me is not finished here. This is not the end. This is a transition. If you would pause and ask, Lord, are you calling me? You would begin to see that you are no longer a bystander in your own story. My timing is not like the calendar you hold. You measure years by wrinkles, lost chances, and the feeling that you are falling behind others. But I read time by what has been formed inside your soul. The years you thought were wasted were the very seasons I used to soften hardened places, humble your pride, and peel away the layers you used to hide your fear. The nights you thought were filled only with useless tears, I gathered every drop like rain watering the deep field within you. And when the storms pass, those tears will become the roots that anchor your faith deep into the soil, so when new winds rise, you will not be uprooted as easily as before. You often think my silence is a harsh test, a trial of endurance. But in truth, I am teaching you a new language, the language of trust without immediate proof. When I do not answer in the way you expect, you begin to sit with yourself. You begin to face the questions you once buried beneath noise. You start to see what you have placed your hope in more than me. You begin to recognize the standards by which you have measured your worth. My silence exposes the false supports you have leaned on, not to destroy you, but so that when they crumble, you can return freely to the only foundation that never shakes. This is not cruelty. This is healing at its deepest level. I know there is still a voice inside you that whispers, "It is too late for me. My youth is gone. My chances are lost. My strength is fading." It is easy to believe your only task now is to endure until the end. But my child, I have never been bound by age, circumstance, or the record of your past. I once called a man when his hair had turned gray, when he had already settled into small expectations, and from him I raised a nation beyond counting. I once sought another who had fled from his past and lived quietly in the wilderness, trying to forget his old dreams, and into his hands I placed a mission that changed history. These stories are not ancient legends. They are reminders that I do not only work with those who begin early, I delight in beginning again with those who think they are finished. You are not in the wrong place. You have not wandered so far from the path that you cannot return. Even in the darkest bends of the road, I am still weaving every detail in preparation for what lies ahead. You, as you are now with all your scars, costly lessons, and painful falls, are exactly the person most suited for the next part of the journey I am unfolding. Not the version of you scrubbed clean of every trace. Not the perfect image you try to perform. You, as you are in this very moment, are the material I desire to work with. I have placed you here, in this time and in these circumstances, not because I ran out of options and had to settle for you. On the contrary, I know that what is coming will require a heart that is soft, humble, willing to listen, and willing to yield. And that is precisely what the years of waiting, silence, and tears have been shaping within you. No stretch of your life is useless in my eyes. The seasons when you felt as if you were going in circles, the relationships that shattered, the unfinished projects, the prayers that seemed to vanish into empty space, all of it has become material in my hands. I do not waste even your mistakes. I turn them into experience, so that later you will know how to support others who stumble in similar places. I do not waste the nights when you collapsed over your desk from sheer stress. I use them to deepen your understanding of the weariness in the person beside you. I do not waste the times when you thought you had ruined everything. I make them the foundation upon which you learn the meaning of grace. In my hands, no shard of your life is reduced to rubbish. Your voice may still tremble today, but the time will come when it carries more power than you can imagine, not because you have gathered so much knowledge, but because you have lived what you will speak. You will not talk about comfort as a dry theory. You will remember the nights when I lifted you up myself. You will not speak of faithfulness as a slogan. You will remember the days when you thought I had abandoned you, only to realize I had never left. And when you open your mouth to share, hearts standing on the edge of despair will receive new hope. They will see that if I could do this with you, I can do it with them as well. Your testimony will become like a key, unlocking invisible chains in the hearts of those who listen. You are not merely someone who has suffered. You are a pathway I want to use to carry my grace into places where you once longed for someone to come to you. You are a flowing stream, not a stagnant pond. The blessing that flows through you to others will, in turn, refresh you. You are a bridge connecting those who feel excluded to the love they never thought they could receive. You are an instrument in my hand. Sometimes I tighten the strings, sometimes I remove what is loose. Sometimes you endure jarring, off-key sounds so that afterward, your life can produce a truer tone. Every note in the song of your life, whether low or high, I know how to weave into a composition only you can play. What now looks like chaos, confusion, and fog ahead will, in time, be arranged by me into a path clearer than you expect. I do not promise that you will see the whole picture by tomorrow, but I will give you enough light for each step as you learn to live not merely for your own safety and comfort, but to join me in a larger story. Then the meaning of each day will be lifted to a higher place. Fear will no longer occupy all the space in your thoughts, because it will have to yield to a new awareness. Your life has a reason to exist. I am the one who has been using, is now using, and will continue using everything, even what you do not understand, to complete what I began in you. From that place, you will have the courage to open your eyes, not to return to old ways of living, but to walk as someone who knows you are in the hands of the one who never abandons you and never comes too late. My child, I see clearly how tangled your heart is right now. Worries smolder day after day. Negative thoughts follow like a shadow behind you, making every step feel heavy and even breathing feel exhausting. Yet in the very moment you think you are carrying everything alone, I am quietly doing one thing, little by little. I am loosening the invisible cords that bind your mind. I am touching the deep places in your heart that you have long avoided because you feared that touching them would only add to the pain. I do not come to reproach you for being weak. I come to gently draw out the seeds of fear that have taken root for so long. Those old voices that told you that you were inferior, unworthy, and unlovable do not come from me. When I touch the memories you locked away, it is not to make you relive the pain or blame yourself again. It is so I can wipe away the thick dust covering the little heart I loved long before you knew how to call my name. You have grown so used to living under a heavy weight that you have begun to think it is normal. But I say to you, I did not design you to live forever in such weariness. You were created to breathe deeply, walk steadily, and face life with a heart that no longer trembles in fear of being hurt again. I am gradually replacing the negative whispers inside you with my words. Words that tell you that you are not a burden, not a mistake, but a child I cherish, protect, and hold dear. I see every time you try to appear strong while, inside, you only want to give up. And it is into that very place that I am pouring my peace, not the kind of peace that makes you avoid reality, but the kind that enables you to stand firm in the middle of what has not yet changed. You were not born to spend your whole life bent beneath the weight of other people's opinions, avoiding their gaze because you are ashamed of what you have been through. I made you to lift your head, even with eyes that have often been filled with tears, and to dare to believe that your worth does not rest on praise or criticism. Your worth rests on this truth: you belong to me. Yes, there have been people who called you names that wounded you. Yes, there are words like blades still echoing somewhere in your memory, but the final word over your life is still my voice, not the voice of anyone who ever hurt you. You may have heard too many times that you are nobody, that you can do nothing, that your future is nothing but a blur. But I do not agree with those words. I know how many dark days you survived when no one else saw. I know how many times you swallowed your tears just to keep moving. And because I know all of this, I say to you even more firmly, this will not end with you living in fear forever. This is not a full stop. This is a transition. This is a turning point where I place my hand on your story and begin changing its direction. You believed you would remain stuck forever in a hazy season, not knowing how to move forward. But I tell you, you will come out of this season not by gritting your teeth in your own strength, but by being upheld by mine. One day, you will look back on this stretch of road and be amazed. In the places that seem to be nothing but stones and gravel, you will see that I had hidden lessons, encounters, and moments of comfort that I was using to build you all along. Every valley you pass through has a purpose. Not one of your steps falls into meaningless emptiness as long as your hand remains in mine. Even now, as you open your heart to listen, chains you cannot see are being broken. Old patterns of thought that kept dragging you back into inferiority and self-condemnation are being touched and loosened by me. There are obsessions you thought you would carry for life, but I am patiently untying each knot, even if you do not yet feel it clearly. I am not in a hurry, but I am not still either. My spirit is at work in you, careful and persistent, like a healer who patiently tends even the smallest wound, overlooking nothing and despising nothing. You think you can hardly escape the inner prisons where you locked yourself in shame, guilt, and suspicion. But I am opening the doors of those rooms one by one. I do not use force. I do not shove you out of hiding. I take your hand and walk with you into the light, so you can relearn how to trust not in a single day, but through each small step, each honest conversation, and each moment you dare to tell me what you are afraid of. I know you have been deceived by people you thought would support you. I know you have been stabbed in the back by those who once promised to stay, so you built a strong wall around yourself, refusing to let anyone come near. I do not blame you for being guarded. I understand why you had to build walls in order to survive. But I have not come to break you. I have come to dismantle those walls gently, so that while you remain protected by me, your heart will no longer be locked in loneliness. I do not demand that you immediately trust everyone again. I only invite you to begin by trusting me. From there, I will teach you whom to trust, whom to release, whom I am using to lift you up, and whom you must learn to let go. You are not defined by the wounds others inflicted on you. You are not limited by the stumbling you brought upon yourself. Your true definition is found in my gaze when I look at you. I do not see you as a suspended sentence hanging over your own head. I see you as a work in progress. In my eyes, you are not a burden, not an error, not a defective product of life. You are someone I have called by name, someone I have sought out, someone I lift up each time you think you have hit bottom. Many times I intervene so you would not rush headlong into dangerous dead ends. I closed doors that looked appealing but concealed depths you could not foresee. I removed relationships that seemed like blessings but were actually traps. Many times, you complained because things did not go your way. But if you could see the whole picture as I do, you would understand that those moments of loss were often the very moments I was saving you from something far worse. If today you can still sit here, still listen, still breathe, and still have the chance to begin again, it is not because you were vaguely lucky. It is because I have placed my hand over your life far more times than you realize. If one day you could clearly see every situation where I quietly intervened, every blessing I placed in the very places you thought were empty, you would no longer have time to complain. Your heart would overflow with gratitude, not the kind that only sounds nice, but the kind that rises naturally when you realize how many times you thought you had collapsed, yet somehow you are still standing today. I do not demand that you instantly become a completely different person. I only invite you to take small steps of trust. Step out of the thought, "You do not love me." Step out of the sentence, "My life will only ever come this far." Step out of the labels you have heard from others and replace them with the words I speak over you. Each day you choose to trust my words a little more, even just a little more, is a day when the weight on your shoulders grows lighter and the blessing within you begins to flow instead of stagnating. I do not only want you to breathe, I want you to truly live. I want you to live with the awareness that you are loved, kept, and sent. I want you to understand that everything you have gone through, both joy and sorrow, can become precious material I use to uphold others who suffer as you have suffered. When you grasp this, you will no longer see your life only through the lens of a victim. You will begin to recognize that you have been, are being, and will continue to be turned by me into a witness to a love that does not abandon, a love that does not turn away, a love that does not grow tired of repeated wounds. And on that journey, I will still be here continuing to set you free, continuing to uproot fear, continuing to pour out peace until you can smile and say, "Thank you, Lord. Even the things I never understood, you used to save me and make me new." I say to you, things are not ending here. What you see now is only the opening margin of the story I am writing over your life. There are many dreams you once folded away, many prayers you thought had fallen to the ground with no one to pick them up, many plans you buried deep because you believed it would never be your turn. You see them as things that vanished, but I have stored them in a safe place waiting for the right moment. I do not throw away what I have sown in your heart and then stand by watching. I delay only because I know that if these things came too soon, they would break you instead of grow you. But now that your heart has changed, now that your eyes have learned to look back to me instead of staying fixed only on your circumstances, I am beginning to loosen the knots I once chose to keep tight. You will be amazed when doors that seemed coldly shut for years begin to open softly, as if they had never been locked at all. Paths you thought were permanently blocked will become clear and wide. as though they had been kept reserved for you all this time. People who once treated you as invisible, who forgot your presence in the room, will one day call you by name, seek your input, and honor your contribution as though you had never been left on the margins. In the places where you have lived in lack, whether in finances, relationships, opportunities, or simply the small measure of recognition every human heart needs, I will gradually fill what has been empty, not with noise or fanfare, but with such clarity that even you will have to admit no human strength could have arranged it. I will let you experience the shift from scarcity to abundance, not so you can boast about your own ability, but so you may know there is a source flowing through your life that never runs dry. I do not do this because you are perfect. I do not do this because you are more deserving than anyone else. It begins with my kindness and my faithfulness. I keep my word. I guard the covenant I have made. I continue loving you even when you are weary, doubtful, and tempted to let go. For this reason, as you begin stepping into a new season where things feel smoother, lighter, and more beautiful, your heart must understand one core truth. Everything poured out over your life is not only meant to make you comfortable, it is meant to help others recognize me through you. I lift you up, not so you can build a little throne for yourself and sit there enjoying it. I lift you up so you can become a living signpost pointing back to me, reminding the lost that hope still exists. I heal you not so the story ends with your pain disappearing, but so those who are still bleeding can look at your closed scars and believe they too can be healed. Therefore, when you begin to see good things coming, job doors opening, healthy relationships forming, new steps forward, unexpected favor arriving, do not let your heart grow careless. Do not forget the nights when you cried alone and called out to me in exhaustion. Do not let praise be given only to others while in your own heart you quietly think, I deserve this, as if you climbed to this place by yourself. Pride does not always arrive through loud declarations. Sometimes it slips in quietly through thoughts like, without me, this would never have happened. It appears in the way you look down on others because they have not gone as far as you. It shows itself each time you speak much about yourself, but stay silent about me. Remember this. What gentleness, gratitude, and humility patiently built in hard seasons can be destroyed by even a little self-exaltation. I may place you in higher positions. I may give you more influence and a stronger voice. But at the same time, I will carefully teach you the lesson of bowing low. Only those who know how to humble themselves before me can stand firm against the temptations that come with increase. In the hidden place beneath my covering, when you choose to obey though no one sees, when you keep your heart pure though no one praises you, when you speak the truth though it costs you there, the true strength of your soul is unlocked. That strength is not the power to force others to listen. It is the ability to stand when the wind changes. It is unshaken peace when everything around you shifts. It is love that does not die even when you are misunderstood. You are not hearing these words by accident. It is not random that you came across this message amid all the noise around you. I arranged for you to read, to hear, and to pause here, because I know that inside you, a new threshold is approaching. This is not merely a sentence meant to make you feel better for a few minutes. This is a word meant to awaken the deepest part of you, the part you allowed to fall asleep because you were afraid to hope and be disappointed again. I am touching what once burned brightly but has been covered by dust. I am calling back the dreams that came from me, the dreams you abandoned in order to live a safer life. When you feel your heart stirred, when your eyes begin to sting, when a strange longing rises within you, do not dismiss it as a passing emotion. It is faith coming back to life. It is the seed of life in your soul pushing up through the soil of doubt. I do not promise that from now on everything will be smooth and free of hardship. I never make peace with falsehood, but I assure you that from the moment you decide to respond, to trust more deeply, and to walk further with me, the trials that come will no longer be like the trials before. You will no longer fight like someone merely trying to survive another day. You will fight like someone who knows they have been entrusted, equipped, and sent with a clear purpose. You will begin to pray differently, not only asking, just get me through this, but asking me to use what you go through to bring hope to others. You will work differently, not merely to make a living, but to carry my presence into the places where I have placed you. You will love differently, not with a draining, demanding love, but with a love that learns from mine, proactive, patient, and ready to forgive. And everything I begin to release over your life, career doors, family turning points, opportunities to serve, and inner changes in your character will press you closer to the image I sketched for you even before you were born. That is why today I speak to you with a voice that is both serious and tender. Be watchful, keep your heart soft before me, cherish even the smallest grace. Do not forget to call my name in both joy and tears. When you respond this way, the faith within you will no longer be a fleeting feeling. It will become a steady flame, giving light to you and to those I will bring into your life in the coming season. And from that seemingly torn story, your faith, the faith you thought had completely gone out, the faith that felt hazy like a distant memory, is quietly being awakened by me again. This is not the fleeting excitement you once had. It is not shallow enthusiasm that flares up and quickly shatters when hardship comes. This is a faith that has passed through fire, been tested by tears, questioned, doubted, and wanted to give up, yet in the end still chose to cling to me when there was nothing else to hold. I saw the nights when you could only whisper a few weak words, yet those awkward, trembling prayers became the seeds I used to restore life to your soul. You did not realize that while you were simply trying to get through the day, I was quietly tending the roots. I was loosening the soil. I was reshaping the deepest places within you so that now, when I speak a word, your faith can rise again and dare to believe beyond every limit surrounding you. Therefore, I tell you, prepare your heart. What I promised you has never been erased. It has only been kept by me for the right time and the right season, not to harm you, but to mature you. In the days to come, you will not only hear others speak about my grace, you yourself will begin to live in the very things you once thought belonged only to someone more spiritual, more gifted, or more deserving than you. The requests you once crossed off your prayer list because you thought it was too late, because the time had passed, because they no longer seemed possible, I will bring them back to your heart in a different way. Not to make you regret, but to show you that I have never forgotten the whispers you offered long ago. Yet what I am preparing for, you will not arrive with the noise and spectacle the world uses to show off. It will come gently, like dawn, not with a thunderous explosion, but with a quiet light that gradually dispels the darkness you had grown used to living in. I will begin by changing the way you see yourself, the way you speak about your circumstances, and even the way you define hope. One morning, you will wake up and realize that something inside you has shifted. Not because everything around you has suddenly become perfect, but because the barren wasteland within you is no longer empty. You will notice that your words have changed. You will no longer keep repeating the old lines. I am just mediocre. I never do anything right. Instead, you will begin to confess what I say about you, that you are loved, chosen, and sent. You are not an accidental leftover of this life. You are part of a plan I have considered down to the smallest detail. The eyes that once saw everything through fear and inferiority will be wiped clean by me. Then you will begin to discern what I am doing in ordinary things. A casual conversation, a job that seems to have nothing sacred about it, a person you never thought would care about the gospel, or a small opportunity that suddenly opens into a whole new territory. My Holy Spirit will not come like a strange gust of wind, merely to make you tremble for a few minutes. He will patiently rewrite, little by little, the way you think, react, love, forgive, face your wounds, and face yourself. What once made your legs tremble will become the very place where you learn to stand firm. The memories you once only wanted to erase will be touched and healed by me. Then I will turn them into a story that can comfort those who are falling into the very pit you have already crossed. The barrier that once held you back and made you say, "My life can only go this far," I will turn into a marker that declares, "Here is where I intervened." From then on, every time you look back, you will no longer feel only shame. You will feel gratitude that I did not allow you to keep harming yourself. The dark imagination of a final ending will slowly dissolve, making room for the awareness that in me, no page of life is meaningless. There are only pages not yet fully written. You will learn to smile again, not the forced smile you use to reassure others that you are fine, but a smile that rises from the deepest place within you when you realize your hand is being held. You are being led, upheld, and entrusted with a portion of the work in my kingdom. You will dare to believe again. But this time, it will not be the kind of belief that tries to trade faith for what you want. It will be faith that springs from knowing who I am. No matter how your circumstances shift, That faith will cause you to look at the places that once made you weep with a different attitude. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" you will begin to ask, "Lord, what do you want to teach me through this? And is there someone you want to reach through this story?" As you step into the new season I am opening for you, you will clearly notice one thing. The blessing I give does not stop inside the small room of your own life. I will draw weary people, broken hearts, and souls standing on the edge of despair closer to you. Not because you are better than they are, but because you will know how to say, "I have been where you are, and this is how I was brought out." You will find yourself becoming more sensitive to the pain of those around you. What you once easily overlooked will now cause you to stop, listen, intercede, offer a hand, send a message, or give a little of your time. I will use the very things you once considered stains to become bridges that bring others closer to me. No one can touch a human heart more deeply than a heart that has also been cracked and healed. In that moment, you will understand the true meaning of being saved. It is not merely escaping a situation, it is being drawn into the very work I am doing in this world. You will no longer pray only, "Give me peace, give me enough to live." Instead, you will gradually learn to pray words that reach beyond your own line of sight. "Use me according to your will. Let what I have gone through not be wasted. Let it become support for someone else." Those prayers will not cause you to lose anything. On the contrary, they will open for you a life with depth, direction, and purpose. A life no longer drifting aimlessly in a meaningless current. You will enter a season where each new day is no longer just another stretch of road to endure, but a page I am ready to keep writing together with you. I will show you the small doors you once dismissed. An ordinary job that becomes a place where you can live faithfully and reveal a different spirit. An imperfect family that becomes the soil where I teach you to sow love and forgiveness. A small group of people that becomes the place where I teach you to persevere, walk alongside others, and lift them up. You will realize that the most beautiful season is not when you have everything the world applauds. It is when you live in your true calling, in the right place, in the rhythm I have set for you, so that blessing can flow through you naturally, without strain. And when I restore, I do not merely patch things up to make them look acceptable. I do not fix only the surface so others can look at you and think you are fine. I touch the roots. I reset the foundation. I realign the direction. I reshape your desires and your dreams, so you are not merely better than before, but truly renewed. I do not gather the fragments and force you to glue them back together by your own strength. With my own hands, I form a new shape, a new story, and a new current in your life, until there are moments when you will gasp, "Is this really me?" Yes, it is still you. But it is you after I have touched you, led you, and taught you to love, trust, live, and give in a mature way. And believe this, that new thing is not some distant, fanciful idea. It began the moment you stopped running from me. It began the instant you dared to be honest with me about your fears, your pain, and your shame. I have already begun that work. I am doing it now, and I will continue until it is complete. Your part is not to manage everything by yourself. Your part is to agree to let me keep shaping you, to take small steps in response to my word, so that one day when you look back, you will say, "If it had not been for the Lord, I could never have become like this." In that moment, not only will you rejoice, but those who have watched your journey will also understand that no life is hopeless in my hands. If a person is willing to let me keep writing, I can make even the most broken story speak of grace. You think your life is still standing in the same place, that the days come and go without change. But in reality, in that quiet place where it seems nothing is happening, something very different has already begun to take shape within you, silent, steady, unseen, and not dependent on anyone's recognition. Like the roots of a tree deep beneath the ground, hidden from the eye and unheard by the ear, something in you is stretching downward, reaching deeper, seeking living water, and preparing for a season of rising so strong that no wind will be able to uproot it. That is what I am doing in your soul. You may look around and see that your circumstances have not changed much. The same familiar faces are still there. The same recurring challenges remain. The same constant worries and unanswered questions still linger. But I can clearly see an important shift. You are no longer the person you were yesterday. The things that once had the power to bring you to your knees no longer rule you as they did before. The words that once crushed you for an entire week have become distant echoes. They no longer define your worth. The wounds that once made you afraid to open your heart are slowly becoming scars, proof that you passed through the pain and are still here. This is not the result of your own willpower. It is the imprint of my spirit quietly working within you, redirecting negative thoughts, soothing tender places, and rearranging priorities you could never sort out on your own. Wherever my spirit is present, fear no longer has the right to shout as loudly as it once did. It can only whisper. And you are learning to recognize that whisper and return to my comforting voice. You are not as weak as you keep telling yourself. You have walked through storms that once would have made you give up long ago. You have endured sleepless nights, heavy mornings, and days when your heart was exhausted, yet you still chose to hold on to me. Even if all you had was one short, fragile prayer, "Lord, please do not leave me," I heard it. Those whispered words, those moments when you kept clinging to me without understanding what I was doing, have moved my heart more deeply than you realize. I am not moved by eloquent prayers spoken only with the lips but empty of the heart. I am moved by simple, awkward, honest cries rising from a wounded chest that still dares to turn toward me even when the mind is full of confusion. I treasure the children who do not run from me when they are in pain, but keep coming back with trembling steps, hearts full of questions, and tears still wet on their cheeks. You have done this again and again. And though you think it is nothing special, in heaven every tear of yours is remembered. Every sigh is clearly heard by me. Never have I turned my face away when you cried. Not for a single moment have I closed my ears to your lament. Many times, I allow silence to answer instead of rushing words over a wound that is still bleeding, because I know there are injuries that must be bandaged slowly by presence, not explanation. When the whole world is busy with itself, I become the place where you can lay your head without fear of judgment. When you feel as if you are disappearing in the crowd, unseen, unnoticed, uncared for, I still call your name in my heart, like a father remembering the child he loves among countless other faces. There are desires you thought had died, dreams you buried deep and swore never to mention again because you were afraid of being hurt once more. But I have not thrown them away. I have kept them in a place where time cannot damage them, waiting for the right moment to place them back into your hands in a form that is wiser, more fitting, and more mature. You think you have lost everything, but I tell you, there are things I deliberately set aside to protect you from receiving unripened versions of the very blessings you longed for. I do not take away to punish you. I set certain things aside to preserve what is best until your soul is able to receive them without being crushed by their weight. Now, even though your eyes cannot yet see it all, a new season has already been set in motion in the unseen realm. The gears you thought had stood still for so long are beginning to turn again smoothly, quietly, and with purpose. It is not by chance that lately you have felt a stirring in your heart that is hard to describe. It feels like a call to rise, a longing to stop living on standby, a small but persistent thought whispering, "Maybe God still has something for me." That is not an illusion. It is the signal I am sending you. It is the sign that my spirit is breathing new life into places you once believed were dead. You are beginning to notice that you no longer respond to challenges the way you once did. You do not collapse as quickly as before. You are no longer as quick to blame yourself. You are learning to pause and ask me more than you ask others. These changes may seem small and quiet, but in my eyes they are an important turning point. They show that the roots of your faith have grown deeper and are no longer as shallow as they were when you clung only to passing feelings. Every step you take in this season is being realigned by me, even if your outward schedule does not look very different. The direction within you has changed. You used to be afraid of dreaming because every dream carried the risk of disappointment. You used to be afraid of opening your heart because every act of trust seemed to expose you to more pain. You used to be afraid of joy because you feared it would be taken away as soon as it appeared. I understand each of those fears. I have seen you curl inward like someone who has just escaped a hailstorm, standing pressed against a wall, watching life from a distance and daring only to observe. But my child, the season I am leading you into now is not a season for you to remain on the sidelines. This time, I am guiding every step, not your emotions, not your impulsiveness, not the tempting but hollow voices around you. I will not allow you to return to the old cycles you are too weary to continue. I am bringing you out of the endless loop of merely existing. I am opening your eyes to see that you were created for more than survival. You were created to love, to give, and to become living proof that restoration is real. Every step you take, even the smallest decision, I am using to tune your heart into harmony with my good purposes. You may not yet see the long road ahead clearly, but you will recognize the next step when it comes. It will not drag you into panic. It will lead you into peace. It will not pressure you to prove yourself. It will invite you to trust me more. I do not promise you a journey without pain, but I do promise that this time you will not face your pain alone. You will no longer have to guess the way or hold yourself up with your own limited strength. I walk with you. I go before you. I come behind you. I surround you, so that what once killed hope within you will become nothing more than a distant memory, powerless to hinder your steps. And as you agree to let me keep working within you, you will begin to see that what I speak over you is not empty comfort. It is living reality. Wherever I touch, the desert begins to bloom, ashes turn into beauty, and lament becomes a new song. The blessings that once seemed blocked like a river dammed by the heavy stones of hurt and fear are now slowly being released. As you allow me to place my hand on your deepest wounds, those stones are being moved away, and the water is beginning to flow again. And when that flow opens, you will not only be refreshed yourself, you will become a source of refreshment to those around you who are dry and weary. From beginning to end, this has always been my intention: to save you, to heal you, and then to use your life as a testimony of my kindness in a world starving for hope but not knowing where to find it. My child, there is something I want you to become very still and consider deeply. If your faith is truly anchored in me, if you do not trust me only when things are going well, but also dare to hold my hand in the middle of the ruins, then not one wound in your life will be wasted. The things that once brought you to your knees, the events that carved out empty spaces inside you where no one else could reach, the separations that left you reeling, and the dreams that seemed to crumble into dust, all of these, in my hands, never become useless fragments. I pick up each shattered piece, wipe away the tears clinging to it, and set it into a new picture you cannot yet see in full. You see only a thick, gray blur. I am quietly fitting everything together into something beautiful, lasting, and meaningful. I do not delight in your pain, but I do not allow any pain to become meaningless. Every tear you shed is noticed by me, not to remind you how weak you have been, but to prove that there has never been a single moment when you struggled alone. You may forget the times you broke down in tears, but I do not. You may think your life has been crushed beyond rebuilding, but I am the one who decides where the ending lies. And I have not placed a final period over your story. You are simply standing in a pause longer than you expected. And in that pause, I am not inactive. I am working on the foundations, deep in places no one else can see, so that when you step forward, you will not only stand firm for yourself, you will also have the strength to lift others who are trembling the way you are today. You often blame yourself for losing so much time, for letting your youth slip through your fingers, for watching opportunities vanish because of decisions you now regret. You look back at those years and call them wasted, meaningless, full of if only. But I want you to try renaming them. In my eyes, they are not an empty gap. They are the backstage where I have been teaching you things that books, advice, and even success could never have reached. I used the days when you felt directionless to show you what was missing deep within you and where you had drifted off course. I used seasons that seemed filled with nothing but darkness to train your eyes to search for even the smallest flicker of light. I allowed you to taste loss and disadvantage so you would remember that a person's true worth does not lie in winning or losing. You call it a terrible past. I call it soil that has already been plowed and broken open, waiting for new seeds to be sown. And that is what I am doing now. I am sowing again, rebuilding again, rearranging again with a patience far greater than anything you have ever imagined. You think all that remains of you is a scorched foundation after a great fire, but I see in that very place the best ground on which to build a new house, because nothing of the old remains to hold you back. You will not stand forever in the ashes. You will step out. And one day, you yourself will find it hard to believe that the place where you stand in peace is the same place where you once thought everything had ended. I know there are times when you look up and ask in your heart, why did you not stop those things from happening in the first place, so I would not have had to hurt this much? You ask because you are looking from where you stand, where you can see only a short stretch of the road. I do not rebuke you for that. I understand how tired your heart is. But I want you to know that sometimes, if I removed immediately everything that caused you pain, you would never truly understand what I rescued you from. It was those wounds that slowed you down. It was those disappointments that stopped your feet. It was those painful interruptions that kept you from running headlong into dead ends that only appeared to glitter. It was those heartbreaks that pulled you away from ties that would have bound you until you no longer recognized who you were. I do not create evil or sin, but I know how to turn even the worst things you encounter into part of your restoration story. What the enemy intended to use to break you, I use to show you and the world that no power can snatch you from my hand when you allow me to hold you. This is not just a comforting idea meant to make you feel less sad. This is how I am truly at work. I do not demand that you smile through gritted teeth while you are still bleeding. I simply invite you to lift your eyes a little to look further and higher, and see that pain does not last forever, but my love has no end. You often live in quiet anxiety, afraid that you delayed too long, fell too far behind, and that what I once promised must have disappeared with the passing years and repeated failures. But my child, I am not like human beings who change their minds because time has passed. I do not tear up the script of your life because you stumbled. What I began in you, I have both the power and the patience to bring to completion. The years you consider completely lost, I can repay in ways you cannot imagine. I do not simply give back the old things, because many of those things were never truly good for your soul. Instead, I give you things that are deeper, truer, and more enduring things that mature you, soften your heart without breaking it, and teach your faith to cling to me rather than to outcomes. There will come a day when you look back and whisper, "The waiting was not wasted. Every tear was worth it, because through them I learned what is truly real." Pain is not beautiful in itself, but in the middle of pain you allowed me to touch you more clearly than ever before. And that is what fills those seemingly lost years with meaning. That is why I plead with you, do not let go of my hand now. I use the word plead not because I am powerless, but because I see clearly what lies ahead if you will just hold on a little longer. You think you are merely dragging yourself through the last few steps of a pointless journey, but in my eyes, you are very close to an important turning point. Just one more step, even a slow step, a step taken through tears, a step taken in fear, is enough to open a different sky. You do not need to leap. You only need not to turn your back. Every time you choose to move forward, however gently, I hasten toward you. You see yourself inching forward bit by bit, while I am shortening the distance between us with great urgency. Every turning back toward me, every whisper of my name, every time you admit, I am so weak. I almost want to give up. Yet still do not cut the cord that ties you to me. All of these are rungs on the ladder, lifting you out of the abyss you once thought you could never climb. You do not realize that I have prepared a place of belonging for you, a reward that no power, no authority, and no accusation can tear from your hands. That place is not a throne where you stand above others. It is a space of peace where you may sit down, lay your burdens down, and stop pretending that you are fine. I have already set a banquet for your soul in the middle of the noise and chaos, a place where the enemy may stand and watch, but cannot interfere. When you are ready to step into this place and allow me to care for you and heal you, you will understand that every detour, every fall, and every long, bitter night has been leading you back here. Not because I take pleasure in seeing you collapse, but because only here can you truly see how deep and wide my heart is for you. Then you will begin to see more clearly that what you once called punishment was actually a wall of protection, shielding you from things that would have caused you to lose yourself if I had allowed them to remain. What you mistook for abandonment was actually the distance I placed between you and the things slowly draining life from your soul. What you once saw as the final period was actually the moment I opened a new chapter, pages no longer stained by old definitions, where you are no longer named by your failures, but by the love I pour into your life each day. I have a covenant with you, not a careless phrase spoken to smooth things over, but an eternal decision sealed with my very life. Unlike people who speak easily today and forget tomorrow, I am not ruled by passing moods. I do not love you more on the days you do well and less on the days you are weak. My love for you is not built on a scoreboard of achievements, and it does not collapse when you fail. I love you because you are mine. I saw you long before you ever became aware of my presence. When you stumble, I see the pain inside you, not someone who deserves to be discarded. When you turn your face away, I wait for you to come home. I do not slam the door shut. When you are confused, I patiently explain and comfort you. I do not leave you alone in your turmoil. You may find it hard to accept this kind of love because, all your life, you have been used to affection that comes with conditions. But I am here to show you another kind of love, one unlike anything you have ever experienced before. A love that does not promise and then forget. A love that does not give and then take back. A love that does not push you away simply because you are not good enough yet. So let what you have been through become more than a source of pain. Let it become evidence that I walked with you all the way down into the deepest place. When you tell your story to others, do not speak only of your suffering. Tell them about me, the one who sat with you in that suffering. When you look at your old scars, do not remember only your mistakes. Remember the hand that bandaged you and lifted you when you had no strength left. Every loss, every pause, every delay can become the opening lines of an entirely new life. A life no longer centered on merely surviving the day, but on knowing you have been sent to love, to lift, and to bear witness. This is how I restore you. Not by taking you back to the starting point as though nothing ever happened, but by making you different, deeper, gentler, stronger. And in the middle of all those changes, there is one thing that has not changed and never will, no matter where you stand today, no matter whether you feel worthy or not. I still have only one thing to say to you. I love you. That is all, and I will not take it back. Listen, I know better than anyone all the parts of your life you wish you could erase. The decisions that make your heart tighten with shame every time you remember them, the times you deliberately turned your back on me, the moments when you were so hurt or offended that harsh accusations spilled from your mouth, words you yourself hardly dare to repeat now. I was there. I witnessed it all, and I did not turn my face away. You think each impulsive choice, each fall into darkness, discouraged me. But my child, my love for you is not so fragile that it breaks under a few dark chapters. I do not withdraw my gaze because you have stumbled. I do not pull my hand back because you no longer look good enough in your own eyes. My heart does not sway with the rise and fall of your emotions. You change. You grow hot and cold. You are inconsistent. But my love remains like a quiet anchor, and you can return to it any time. Even in the most tangled state of your soul, you often imagine me as the one who only records your mistakes and will one day settle the score. So whenever you do something against your conscience, you rush to hide. You go silent. You cut off prayer because you are afraid of hearing my voice. But you do not know that I do not sit above you, waiting for you to fail so I can punish you. I am full of compassion. I am the one who bends down to pick up every broken piece you have dropped. Even the pieces you hate so much that you want to bury them deep. I do not step on them in contempt. I gather them gently. I wipe away the dust. I begin fitting them into a new shape. To you, they look like a useless pile of fragments. But in my hands, they become material for a story no one else has. You see yourself as ruined. I see a work of art still in progress. I am not afraid to step back, adjust, and begin again if needed, as long as in the end you are able to stand firm in my love. There are chapters you wish you could erase, stretches of memory you want to lock away and pretend never existed. You wish you had not trusted the wrong people, chosen the wrong path, or traded your heart so cheaply. But my child, when those dark chapters are touched by me, they will become the pages you later read with the deepest gratitude. I do not whitewash your mistakes. I do not deny the consequences. But I can cause even the chapters you are most ashamed of to become the backdrop that makes my grace shine more brightly. I do not love the wrong things you have done, but I have never abandoned the work of art that bears your name because of them. You are mistaken when you think the story has ended simply because you have passed through tragedy. In reality, the book of your life is still being written, and I am still the unchanging author writing every line, every sentence, and every chapter with a loving intention you cannot yet fully see. Many nights you sit alone and look back over the road you have traveled, whispering to yourself, I have wrecked everything. I have ruined it all. There is nothing left to fix. You speak as if you have the right to decide the ending, but I am the one who sees the whole picture from beginning to end. You are simply standing in the middle of a crooked, twisting path and hastily declaring there is no way out. If you would lift your head, you would see that I am still waiting for you ahead, at intersections your eyes cannot yet see. You think that when you do wrong, every good thing I ever promised you is crossed out. But I am not human, that I should change my mind simply because you slipped. I am not easily discouraged the way people are. I knew every misstep of yours in advance, and still I chose to write promises into your story because I knew there would come a day when you would need somewhere to come home to, something solid to hold on to, so you would not be utterly destroyed. You are exhausted from carrying all that guilt. You cling to each painful memory as a punishment you impose on yourself. You think that if you blame yourself long enough, you will somehow become more deserving of forgiveness. But my child, that is not how I work. I do not need you to pay by hating yourself in order to prove that you repent. I need you to believe that my love is big enough to enter the very places you think no one would dare touch. I want you to loosen your grip on that burden, not so you can live irresponsibly, but so you can give me the place I deserve in your heart, the place of the healer, not the place of an accusing voice. It is clear that you cannot keep living while dragging the heavy shadow of the past behind you. So why will you not let me cut the rope tightening around your neck? Why do you cling to it, as if it is all you deserve? I want you to pause for a moment and take a deep breath, not as a simple gesture, but as a reminder that you are still alive. You still have the chance to turn and look toward me. I am here. Not as far away as you imagine. Only one turning of your heart away. Only one honest word away. Only one breath away, where you dare to release all your striving. When you breathe deeply, you begin to let go of the words of self-condemnation. When you lay the burden down, you finally make room to receive the peace I have long prepared for you. That peace is not the feeling that everything is perfect. It is the steadiness of heart in the middle of unfinished things, because you know I am the one in control, not your past mistakes and not your future fears. Let me be the one who rearranges the chaos inside you. Let me be the one who wipes clean the hidden corners you are afraid to face. I do not come to open your file of sins and review it. I come to close that file with the seal of mercy. I do not deny what happened, but I cleanse your heart with a love that does not keep score. I wash away the dust that has settled on your soul for so long, not so you can pretend you never failed, but so you can stand again without trembling beneath shame. I want you to see clearly how weak you have been, so you may understand more deeply how strong I am. You do not need to hide, beautify, or deny what is past. You only need to place it in my hands and leave the rest for me to handle in my way. You often worry that everything that once belonged to you has been lost, that the opportunities that slipped away will never return, and that what you ruined can never be restored. But my child, the things I have destined to be part of your life cannot be stolen by any power, not even by your own weakness. There are things I allow you to lose because they were never truly yours. But what is truly your portion in my purpose, I still hold, I still keep, I still protect in a place no one can reach. Even when you are not yet mature enough to receive it back, I patiently wait for you to grow and finish the lessons you need to learn, so that when the right time comes, you will receive it and not lose it again. What is yours in me does not fall away. It is only being kept for the proper time. I do not play with punishment by hanging blessings high above you just to torment you. I place them within a timetable that all of heaven knows is exact, while you see it only as delay. There will come a day when you look back and realize that there were prayers I did not answer immediately, not because I did not hear you, but because I was preparing something better for your soul. Better not merely in comfort or ease, but in depth, strength, and solidity. I do not give you something simply to make you happy for a moment, only for you to lose yourself afterward. I care more for your soul than for fleeting satisfaction. You want every pain to end quickly, but I want you to emerge from that pain as someone who has learned something about me, about yourself, and about the value of grace. You want the story of your life to be smooth and easy, but I want your story to carry the power to touch others. So I am not in a hurry to close a painful chapter while it can still bring forth deeper richness within your heart. When the day comes for the things I have kept for you to be revealed, you will no longer confuse them with luck or coincidence. You will recognize my fingerprints in the way everything fits together. The people you meet, the doors that open, the turns that once seemed meaningless, but suddenly become perfect connecting points. You will remember the nights when you thought you had lost everything, and as you compare them with what is now unfolding, you will understand that without the chapters you once wished you could erase, you would not be standing where you stand today. In that moment, you will look back to this very moment as you are reading these words, and you will know that it was truly I speaking to you, not some random thought passing through your mind. You will remember that at the very point that seemed worst, I began writing the next beautiful part of your story quietly, gently, yet surely. And not once throughout that whole process did I ever let go of your hand. Therefore, do not be quick to conclude that you have run out of chances. Do not rush to close your heart just because you no longer want to be hurt. I do not promise that from this day forward you will never cry again. But I promise that not a single tear of yours will be meaningless. I promise that I will use even the most mistaken chapters, the stories you are most afraid others might discover, and turn them into a launching place for transformation, comfort, and new hope, not only for you, but also for those who will pass through your life. I waste nothing that you place in my hands. Not even the past you hate the most. Not even the failures that shame you the most. Not even the dark corners you thought could never be spoken of. All of it can become material for a glory you cannot yet imagine. As long as you keep coming back, as long as you dare to stretch out your hand, I will continue to write, continue to shape, and continue to lift you up until your life truly reflects what I thought about you from the very beginning. Now be still. Open your whole heart and speak to me with the most honest prayers from the depths of your soul. Almighty God, my Father, you who see clearly the deepest places of my heart, today I come before you with all my weariness and turmoil. So many times I have misunderstood your silence. I thought you had turned your face away. I thought my prayers had fallen into a void. I thought I was no longer important enough for you to notice. Please forgive me for every time I judged your heart too quickly, guided only by my fragile emotions. Heal the places within me that have been wounded by human abandonment, so I no longer project their faces onto you. Teach me to recognize that even when everything around me is silent, your love is still quietly working, upholding me, guarding me, and moving in ways I do not yet understand. Give me new eyes of faith, so I can trust your heart even when I cannot understand your ways. Teach me to rest in your arms instead of struggling in the confusion of my own mind. Good and gracious Father, you hold every season of my life in your hands. Today I offer you all my anxieties about time, age, and the things I believe I have already missed. So often, I look around and compare myself with others. I see myself as always behind, and I wonder why you allow them to move so quickly while I seem to move so slowly. I am sorry for letting comparisons steal my joy and gratitude. Help me believe that you are never late. Help me trust that the years I thought were wasted are being used by you to refine my character, deepen the roots of my faith, and soften my heart. Set me free from the obsession of measuring myself against others, so I can walk in peace at the pace you have uniquely set for my life. Teach me to cherish every small step, every quiet change, and every hidden progress that only you and I can see. And help me always remember that I am not late in your plan. I am right on time according to the heavenly schedule you wrote for me from the very beginning. Gentle and wise Holy Spirit, I bring before you all the courts I have built inside my own heart over the years. So many times, I have been the one accusing myself more harshly than anyone else. I have repeated words that belittle me, imprisoned myself in mistakes I cannot return to fix, and forgotten that I am only clay in the hands of the potter. Holy Spirit, please come and soothe the wounded places I still hide. Teach me to lay down the supposed right to condemn myself, and help me entrust to you the right to heal me and form me according to your will. Help me believe that I am not a defective product, but a work of art still in process. What has been broken is not meant to be thrown away, but restored into something more beautiful, steady, and whole. Give me the humility to step out of the role of always being strong. Help me acknowledge my weakness and ask for your intervention, so that from now on, the loudest voice in my heart will no longer be the accusations of the past, but the loving whisper of God shaping me day by day. Beloved Father, I thank you for helping me look back on the years I thought were wasted with a new light. Thank you for not rebuking me when I complained that my life was moving too slowly, that I had missed out, and that I had failed to keep up with others. Thank you for patiently correcting the way I see time, so I can recognize that you were quietly working through all the days I considered meaningless. Thank you for using every tear, every season of waiting, and every delay to deepen the roots of my faith, soften my heart, and break the pride I did not even know I carried. Thank you for not forcing me to succeed early according to the standards of this world, but allowing me to walk at a pace that is safe for my soul. Thank you that every season has value, and that today I can be at peace with what lies behind me, because I know you have never taken your hand off my life. Lord Jesus, I lift my thanksgiving to you, because you have patiently corrected the image of God I carried within my heart. Thank you for never growing tired of showing me that you came to save, not condemn, to heal, not extinguish, to protect, not crush. Thank you for helping me realize that many things I once called unfair were actually moments when you drew me away from the edge of the abyss. Many things I called loss were, in truth, necessary redirections for my life. Thank you for entering my pain not with words of rebuke, but with gentle hands that lifted me up instead of pushing me down. Thank you for allowing me to ask questions, to be honest about my anger and sadness, and still not abandoning me because of them. I know that without your patient presence, those misunderstandings would have pulled me even farther away from God. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so together we can build a strong, vibrant community of faith.